Ben Roethlisberger, Steelers quarterback, placed on the COVID-19 reserve list because he sat next to Vance McDonald on the flight back from Dallas on Sunday. McDonald, another one of these guys falling into that donut hole, game day testing, sample collected in the morning, result comes back positive. Anyone in close contact with him goes onto the COVID-19 reserve list for 5 days. Roethlisberger and 3 others must isolate for 5 days and test negative before returning. So what that means is, just like Matthew Stafford last week, Ben Roethlisberger is going to be unprepared from a practice standpoint to face the Bengals on Sunday. Now, he may not have practiced very much anyway. He never practices on Wednesday, Charean. But still, he is going to have to participate in video conferences only as they get ready for a Bengals team that's had 2 weeks to prepare and that, frankly, is good enough to beat the Steelers because the Steelers have only had one convincing win all season long.
Yeah, Mike, and you said he might not practice. That's what's going to be my point. You know, he has the 2 knee injuries, and so what kind of rehab is he doing right now? Is he having to do this at home? Is he getting to go to the facility to do this? Right? He's not allowed at the facility, right? So he's having to do this rehab on his own with his knees, I assume. Is
Great point. He's got to isolate for 5 days. I mean, he's got to isolate. He's got to isolate for 5 days. He's potentially going to infect whoever would come to his house and work on the knees there. So that's a potential problem as it relates to rehab. And maybe it will be. They send him all the equipment he needs, and he's going to be doing his own physical therapy from home. Or, if his spouse can be shown what needs to be done, again, depending upon what they're doing to address these knee injuries, that becomes a complicating factor as well. That's a good point. Here's Mike Tomlin, coach of the Steelers, talking about Ben Roethlisberger missing time this week.
I'm not overly concerned about it. This guy's been doing this job for 17 years. He's got snap experience that he can call upon. We're still going to work extremely hard virtually to prepare. A lot of his work is above the neck anyway in terms of preparation. I have very little concern about it, to be quite honest with you.
And look, I don't expect Mike Tomlin to say anything else. He's not going to make any excuses. He's not going to say, well, we may as well just not even play the game this weekend. They deal with it, whether it's injuries, whether it's unavailability due to COVID. This is something the Steelers haven't had to deal with all year long, Charean. It just started recently. And I think it's indicative of the reality that no matter what a team does to try to avoid it, there's still too many people who go out into the community every night. And as the numbers go up in our communities, in the communities where the NFL teams are located, you're going to have people show up for work who are positive for the virus, and they're going to potentially spread it before anyone knows they have it. So anything other than a home market bubble, this is just part of the reality of the next 8 weeks in the NFL, and we can only hope they hold it together and hope they'll have a home market bubble or something closely equivalent to it by the time the postseason rolls around.
And Ben Roethlisberger, before the season started, Mike, said he was going to do all the right things, not have anybody over to his house, no visitors, no friends, no family, nobody to come to the house. He was going to homeschool his kids. He's going to basically isolate at home, which now he's been around Vance McDonald, who tested positive, who he was seen talking on the sidelines to without a mask, and then sat next to him on the plane. And so here we are with Ben Roethlisberger possibly maybe getting COVID himself. We'll see. Hopefully he doesn't, and he can return and play this weekend and get back out there. But it does tell you that you can be as safe as possible, and you still just never know. You may be around someone who has COVID-19. And I think it's a lesson for all of us, right? I mean, we see the cases going up, 6 straight days of 100,000 cases in this country, and unless you just isolate in your house, you just can't be 100% sure that you're not going to be around somebody who has COVID-19.
And I think that that's a critical point because the NFL says that they're going to assume that everyone who walks through the door has it. We don't see on the sidelines during games behavior that would suggest that the players and the coaches are making that assumption. If anything, they're assuming everyone's clean. I mean, I was watching the Jets game last night, and you've got Dowell Loggins, the offensive coordinator, why even have a mask on? If it's basically going to be something to catch the food that falls from your mouth, right? Why the hell even have the thing on? And you've got guys sitting elbow to elbow on the bench. One has a mask on, one doesn't. And I feel like most of the guys on the sidelines, when they wear masks, they don't have their noses covered, which is asinine. It's just flat out asinine. What's the point if you don't cover your nose? Your nose is one of the main entry points of the virus. It's more important to have it over your nose and your mouth. So my point is, I feel like they think that once it's time to go out onto the sidelines, they've got some safe harbor that they don't have to worry about. That's where they have to worry about it the most, Charean. And we're finding that out. And they have to get that message through to the players and the coaches. And I just feel like they can't deal with that while they're worrying about trying to win a football game. Maybe they'll get there by the end of the season. Maybe they won't. We'll see.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.